The Mishnah tells us, Al tischabed l'rosha. Don't attach yourself to a Rosha. So over here, Rabbeinu Yonah in his commentary cites an officer of Nosson who explains that even if a person did not sin due to his relationship with the Rosha, but because of your association with him and your identification with him, and what the Rosha represents, he represents Chil Hashem, because he has no consideration, or no interest, or no value in serving God, and you valuing him, that means you're part of that of that desecration of God's name. We're not talking about person, purchases something from a Russia. The Saba means you have a relationship with him. You value what he represents, even though you don't talk religion. He's an ethical, moral human being. You value him. Let me ask you a question. God forbid, if a person is a murderer and he killed this person's father, but he's very ethical and moral, and the son is aware of it, could he have a relationship with this person because he's ethical and moral? If you have a relation with that person, the ethic and moral has no relevance to the whole discussion. How do you have a relation with this kind of person? He represents something which is intolerable. He killed this person's father. God forbid, Hitler, Yamach Shmo Zichro. Through him, 6 million Jews were murdered. But the way he treated dogs and nature was one of a kind. I value him for that. But if you understand what he represents, what he is, how could you even be associated with him? So that you turn a blind spot on that, and you're able to be associated with that means you're part of his Chil Hashem. Therefore, as a result of that, you're held accountable for that level of association. This is based on Avos Reb Nosson, which is from the Tanakh period. But it says the other way. What about a person has association with a tzaddik? A person who represents God in this world, sanctifies God's name on an unusual, advanced level. Although you did not do anything of what he does, but you value that relationship. And you want to have the relationship. Even though you did nothing, that you value that, you make the statement. That's who I want to be. That's who I want to be associated with. The person receives reward, although he did not perform a mitzvah. Just because you value that person. You value him because your value is the equivalent of you're part of that sanctification of God's name. So it goes in both directions. Then you say, he's not so terrible. Let's say you don't get it. Don't despair from tragedy. Because ultimately, when he's going to get in the neck, and he's going to be decapitated, you being attached, being one entity, you're going down with him. You're going down together. So he says over here, person says, when I realize that he's going down, I'll just detach myself. You never know when this guy's luck's going to run out. It's like we had earlier or later. Don't say when I'll have time, I'll study, because that moment may never come. Person says, he'll do tshuva before he dies. Does anybody know when he's going to die? God forbid, God pulls the plug the last moment, and you have no time even to consider your life. The person goes into the oblivion. What are you waiting? If we understand what the liability is and what you're able to correct when you have time to correct it, I'll wait till the very end. Who said you'll have time at the very end? You may not. And therefore, it's living totally irresponsibly. Because if you really sense the wrong of what you're doing now, you'd attend to it immediately. You're not going to leave it for the last minute. But years ago, there used to be a concept People used to save for a rainy day. It was a concept, especially after the crash of the market in 29, the depression. People had, in a moment, they have nothing. So people said, you can't take a chance. You always have to have somebody put away, because you never know when that event may happen. You understand? When it comes to material, got to save for a rainy day. You have to have a cushion. You got to have a life insurance policy. You have to have an annuity. You have to have this. You have to have everything. When it comes to your soul, your spirituality, something, I'll attend to it when I have time, and I'll have time at the last moment. You may not experience that last moment, God forbid. And if that's the case, the guy's going off the cliff. That's up to Sarshman and Paronis. Because you never know when that tragedy may happen. So don't despair. Don't hoodwink yourself. That's what it's about. It's interesting. People, we delude ourselves as a result of having relationships. But you realize relationships are only temporary, even if they last a lifetime. But ultimately, I'll give you an example. Person is a rainmaker, does very well. The moment he goes into retirement, and the moment he's put into a home, it's like he never existed. Not only to the public, even to his children. Once they have that money, Dad, you're lucky we pay the nursing home fee. We could have put you in a facility that was a sub-zero. We put you in a 5-star facility with your money, but you realize we didn't have to, because you wrote over everything to us. You understand? So after everything's said and done, what's your innate value? You have no innate value whatsoever, and that's the reality of life. You're only as good as you are as long as you're good. The moment you pass that moment of glory, it's like you never were. He says, maybe he'll say, our relationship will be a superficial relationship. Outwardly, I'll play the game. I'll stroke his ego, the Russia, but really, I want nothing to do with the man. You know what that's called? That's called being two-faced. The person has to have honesty. You have to have integrity. How can you be two-faced? Well, I'll take what I can take, but reality, in my mind, I know who he is. But does he know how little you value him? If he would know, he wouldn't have a relationship with you. So that's wrong also. So either way you cut it, you should not begin a relationship with this kind of person for that reason. He says, what's a verse of Mishlei? It says, beautiful, King Solomon. If the king knows that you love his enemy, what does the king feel about you? You keep it quiet, because if he knows that you're a compatriot of his enemy, the king is going to take you out. So the Rosh himself is the enemy of God, and you value him, and you can't hoodwink God. You can't keep this concealed, because God knows exactly that you value him. We play golf every week. Once a year we travel. We go there. What do you want to be associated with this man? The man is God's enemy. As a result of that, God says, if you are a friend of my enemy, you're no friend of mine. I want nothing to do with you.
Yes.
Larry, I understand why what you said is totally unrelated, incorrect, no relevance to what we were talking about.
It's not the first time I've done that, Rabbi. Of course, I do.
Okay? No, but it's important that you hear and internalize what we're saying over here.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Hey, Rabbi, I have a question.
Second,
Still recording, Rabbi.
people who are unfortunately capos in concentration camps. Capo would mean they were put in charge to oversee other inmates. And most capos, they tortured the inmates, their fellow Jews. They treated them the way a Nazi would treat a Jew. That's the way they treated them, with that level of cruelty. Why? To save their own skin, because they believed that if they do the bidding of the Nazi and mistreat the Jew the way the Nazi wants him mistreated, he'll get special accommodation, food, lodging, whatever it is. Is that what you do? You sell your soul to the devil for what? For a square meal and for a better residence? Is that what you do? Where's your conscience? If a person is told either kill or be killed, you take another life? Of course not. You're not allowed to take a life for your life. And what about torturing innocent people in the multitudes? A capo, he could have overseen 100 people. And the level of cruelty the people came out of the camps afterwards, it's not to be described what these people were and the way they treated their fellow Jews. To save their own skin, at the end, they themselves were killed by the Nazis. Many of these capos. Certain person who became close with me just a few months ago, an Israeli, and he has a very special technology. Maybe I mentioned it the other day. Has to do with AI. It's like next generation technology. And the company will be worth a fortune. He has people on his board, which were people used to be on, worked for Gates, head of his company, different things. He's a religious man, this an Israeli. He was an officer in the Israeli army, he's in his 50s. And I said to him, maybe I mentioned the other day, you can get money in Dubai. The Arabs will give you money. He said, I wouldn't take $1 from them. To give them an opportunity for them to make money, I prefer not to do business, period. There's no way I'm taking an Arab that he's gonna make money off me. That's where he's come from. Because he tastes it firsthand, he saw it firsthand. Whether it was October 7th and everything else that before that and during, behind the scenes. So if you really appreciate what wrong is and what evil is, you don't sell your soul to the devil. He's a Russia, but he's a rainmaker. He's a nice guy. When I go to his estate, he has bowling shoes, whatever size you wear. And he has a tennis racket, tailor-made for you, that you can play on his tennis court. And he even has tennis shorts. And he has a shower. And he'll even give you a massage afterwards. You understand? But he is what he is. And if you appreciate what he is, you can't be associated with that man under any circumstance. Because he has a history. Larry knows who I'm talking about.